Hey Cam followers, thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited to have Dr. Katie Friel-Russell with us today. So she is a vet who now does behaviour, and that's her sole practice really now, is behaviour. And she's going to be talking to us about areas that cause great confusion in owners of dogs that are suffering chronic pain. Now, we're going to go straight for the throat. We're going to talk about a very tricky topic, which is probably the bane of many behaviourists and many vets' life, which is behaviours that dogs still continue to do, even though they're likely to be doing harm. So let's go straight for a controversial one, which is ball throwing, be it frisbee catching, ball throwing, whatever it might be. And looking at what the body is doing during said activity, it seems common sense that that must be causing discomfort. However, the dog continues to appear to enjoy the behaviour, enjoy the activity, and they will continue doing it. So the owner feels that it can't be doing any harm. So Katie, give us a quick intro about yourself and why you do what you do, and then let's go straight into that topic.
Okay, so I graduated from Liverpool University and worked in small animal general practice for a couple of years. I just found it really frustrating seeing how many preventative behavioural issues there were in dogs and cats, and really just wanted to focus on helping those. So I went on and got my postgraduate diploma in animal behaviour and set up my own referral practice, seeing dogs primarily with behavioural problems and helping them out, which I absolutely love doing. But yeah, this is a really divisive topic. Ball throwing is one of the real tough ones, because people love it. You know, it's so fun seeing your dog chase after that ball, and the dogs have got really nice body language, and sometimes it's the only way that owners ever play with their dogs. But obviously it's not great for a whole range of reasons. Emotionally, it's generally too much for most dogs and can exacerbate behaviour totally on its own. But then obviously, like you're saying, the impact and the repetitiveness of it is just so detrimental for joints, especially where there's already joint disease there. But dogs do enjoy it, you know, especially we've got certain breeds that are going to be really prone to enjoying chasing a ball. Collies are going to be really high up there, but also our gun dog types, our labs and our spaniels, they've been bred for such a long time to have this chase drive, you know, and then for the retrievers as well, picking it up and bringing it back to you. And we've purposely bred that into these breeds. And so, of course, they're going to enjoy that activity. But dogs' understanding is totally different to ours. So it's not like they can think ahead and go, oh, yeah, I remember last time I was really sore after that exercise. It's much more like the understanding of a sort of a 2 to 3 year old child, where they're thinking about, I want to do this activity right now. It seems like a good idea. They're not thinking about consequences or, like I say, what happened last time. And chasing the ball is fun, so they're going to want to do that. You know, we've all seen dogs on the park doing it, and maybe afterwards they are limping. You know, it's really exacerbated it. But because they've had fun, the owners want to do it again next time as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I think it's probably one of the hardest conversations that I have with owners, alongside weight loss, is trying to encourage them that their relationship with their dog will need to change, and they will be able to find as pleasurable activities that are less harsh on the body.
Yeah, absolutely.
I must admit, I find it quite strange that owners can't see the impact that it can have on soft tissues and joints and bones, because we don't do those activities ourselves without doing harm. But why do they appear to enjoy it even though it's likely to be causing discomfort?
Well, you mentioned how it's a similar topic with difficulty with weight loss, and weight loss is a really good comparison from a human point of view. How many times have people thought, oh, I wish I could drop a couple of pounds, but then because there's a nice treat in the cupboard, you still eat it. So you get that enjoyment even though the consequences you don't enjoy. And so the dogs, if that is their main way of playing, you know, that's their main fun interaction with their owners, that is like the best treat you could possibly imagine. That's like someone's bought me, you know, a whole bar of chocolate and then been like, here you go. And the self-control to not just eat it at that point is often beyond me. Yeah. And same for dogs. They're going, oh, they're throwing the ball. Of course I'm going to go and get it. You're not thinking about those extra few pounds you might put on because you've just eaten it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I found myself trying to take it up a level for some owners because I could feel that they were beginning to buy in to my concern. They were beginning to buy into the idea that something needed to change, but I needed to take it a step further with kind of understanding and add a bit of science and trying to just fill in the picture for them. So for me, I'm not a behaviourist, I'm just a vet. I found myself saying to people that they will be living in the moment in time, and in that moment in time the neurochemicals flooding the brain of a really kind of positive, high arousal state will mask discomfort, and the emotional state of that dog will be one of, you know, positivity and this is great, and therefore they won't be able to relate that activity with the discomfort that actually then comes later. And I kind of tried to explain it in the form of clicker training, in that clicker training would not work if a dog was to be clicked 2 hours after the activity that was done to gain the click. The dog would never put 2 and 2 together, and that's a tendency with dogs with the ball throwing, is when the neurochemicals and the high state of happiness eases off and then sadly the pain comes back, they can't link the two. Is that, it's a bit of a layman's way, but is there truth in that?
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about clicker training, it's not even 2 hours. If the click comes like 3 seconds late, they are not connecting it to the behavior that you wanted them to be, you know, to be rewarded for. And so that any delay in time just makes it so difficult for them to connect those two together. And absolutely, the neurochemicals just, it doesn't always have to be positive, but we are talking about positive here. But how many times do people take their dog to the vets because they're lame, and then as soon as they walk into the vets, they're suddenly looking, you know, like nothing ever happened, because of the stress, whether that is excitement or anxiety in that situation, gets on board and everything goes away, and the dog looks like they've never been sore in their whole life. And so that absolutely happens when they're playing ball as well. Okay. And then adding that delay just makes it impossible for them to connect those two activities together.
Okay, so for me, taking this into the realms of reality for owners, which is what this audio is aimed at, I would talk about a case such as, we've got a 5-6-year-old Labrador. They're very prone to elbow dysplasia, and alongside that comes other problems such as shoulder tendinopathies, etc. And that Labrador throughout its life has always been, as I say, a ball chaser. So the owners just had bilateral elbow dysplasia and early arthritis in each joint diagnosed, and they are being advised that their expectation and lifestyle with their dog has got to change. And the vet is saying to them, I really do think you need to rethink ball throwing. What kind of things would you be suggesting that owners do instead?
Oh, there's so much that they could do. Ball throwing, actually, once people realise all the other stuff they can do, is one of the worst ways to play with your dogs, because you're actually not really part of it. You are just an extension of the ball thrower, if you're using a ball thrower, which I really hope you're not.
I hate them too.
You're just a stationary ball dispensing machine. So although it looks like your dog's having fun, you're not really involved at all. So we'd way prefer that people play with their dogs rather than just being part of the toy. So if your dog really likes balls, then you could do scent work would be a fantastic exercise, especially a Labrador. I mean, you could absolutely use a toy as a reward for that the whole way through. So thinking about dogs trained in the military and for police doing detection work, a huge number of them, their main reward is a tennis ball, but there's no chasing after repeated throws. It's all working with their nose, really gentle on the joints, but fantastic brain workout, and dogs absolutely love it. And
that you've just highlighted something that would be really interesting to talk about. So owners that embrace this and they continue to take the ball out and they allow the dog to carry it, or the dog still gets the same apparent excitement and pleasure at the ball revealing itself out of the owner's pocket and they're allowed to carry it. With owners, I can imagine that they sit there going, but that feels like I'm doing half-arse measures. I haven't completed the picture. How can they get pleasure out of just carrying the ball? The ball's meant to be thrown. Would you suggest dogs can get the same amount of pleasure out of a less height and, high arousal, high impact activity? Can we suggest to them?
Sorry.
No, go for it.
Absolutely. The especially the dogs, the people that come in and saying, but my dog loves the ball, they're obsessed with the ball. So that dog has become conditioned to the ball exposure, so seeing the ball and being able to pick it up. But a lot of those dogs, the chase isn't a big part of it, it's getting the ball. And you'll also hear those same people might say, oh, he does love it, but he's not very keen to give it up. And that shows you that he doesn't even want to play fetch with you. He just wants to hold the ball.
That's really interesting, isn't it? That's so...
Yeah, and people spend so long desperately trying to get these dogs to bring the item back to them. And the dog doesn't want to, because the dog doesn't want to play fetch. They just love picking stuff up, and that bounciness, the chewiness of the tennis balls in particular, dogs absolutely love it. And so a lot of these dogs, if they can just have access to it, it never needs to be kicked or thrown. It can just be something that they pick up and move around. Even if they pick it up and drop it and it bounces a metre away and they pick it up again, for a lot of dogs, that's a great game, but there's none of that high impact stuff going on for them.
I love that. And that's so obvious now that you've said it like that. That is so obvious. Just this morning walking with Luna, I rarely take a ball. But this morning I took a squeaky because we're doing lots of hide and seeks and stuff. And she's a real character for bringing me the ball, but not really giving it to me. And then I ask for it and she gives it to me, but not really. And then that was what was giving her way more enjoyment than actually going and finding the ball. It was the who's going to get it? Are you going to get it? No, you're not going to get it. I'm going to get it? No, you're not going to get it. And I'm like, you're such a tease.
Yeah, and that's it. Because if you think about how dogs play with each other, it's all about this back and forth. It's not, okay, I'll just go and give them the toy. I mean, that's just boring for dogs. So yeah, they like going and getting it because you're finally letting them play. But then, like you say, most dogs aren't running back and pushing it into your hand, being like, come on, chuck it again. They come back and go, hey, look what I've got. And they're parading and they're so happy and they've got all this wriggly body language that they're just like, this is great. And then we go, drop, 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 drop. And we keep asking them to give it back. And they're like, oh, do I have to again? And so we think that's the game. But actually for our dogs, it's really not the game. The game is, I've got it and it's so fun. And I love how much I can walk around with it. And that's actually the majority of people that say my dog's obsessed with the ball. The dogs are doing that. They're not begging for throws.
I love that. I think that's a really lovely point to kind of conclude this audio on, because at no point have we said no. We have highlighted to owners the concern on a physical basis. We're going to talk about emotional next time, but we've talked about how it can be a hindrance to pain management, but we've said that actually you can still have a better relationship with your dog. A ball still can be involved, however it's not lobbing it repetitively across a field until they come back to the point of exhaustion. So we're going to leave it there. We're going to do another episode where we're going to stay with these high impact, high arousal activities that owners often misinterpret as positive, happy times, and how we're just going to kind of uncover what could be happening so that you as an owner are more willing to look at alternatives which will have a better overall effect for your dog. So thank you, Katie. We will speak to you again soon.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.